Welcome everyone, I'm Nick Haynes. We are wrapping up an unusual week in Kansas City, and we here at KCPT are as disrupted as you are, all of our staff working from home, a skeleton crew coming in so we can still be with you this half hour, and we're slimming down the number of guests around this table to adhere to important health protocols. But we're keeping calm and carrying on, and so is Mayor Quinton Lucas. We're now the better part of a week through an emergency order all across the metro to stay at home. Are we behaving ourselves? Are we doing what you expected, or are we falling short of what you and public health officials expected?
By and large, I think Kansas Cityans are behaving. When you look at people who are staying home from work, not going to non-essential businesses, we've had largely great compliance. We've had some issues with playgrounds at our parks, and we've tried to message to people, you can't be on the playground, you can be out walking, but keep social distancing. But by and large, I think our community throughout the metro has taken heed of our warnings.
As you mentioned, the city closed all the playgrounds, the tennis courts, put up signs telling people these are off limits, and yet still plenty of kids on those swings this week, plenty of adults still on those tennis courts. Does that mean there has to be a ratcheting up of enforcement no longer? Is it just something you say, hey, please get off that you need more enforcement action?
You know, I actually think no, not yet. I mean, we continue at City Hall to take calls. Usually we have our regulated industries department or the health department that's doing a lot of our enforcement work. We don't want to go around like Big Brother. We don't think the police need to come and break up park groups, that sort of thing. We really just encourage people right now to follow common sense. Now, of course, if we keep seeing some of the concerns and issues we've had, then we may need to ratchet it up. But at this point, city government, the police department, no one is interested in doing that.
Has any of those inspectors with the public health department or regulated industries, or have you had to impose any fines on anyone?
So, you know, we have not had to impose fines yet. Usually people do actually listen to a call. We have had to call several businesses and say, whatever type of business you're in, you can't keep your massage parlor going, or some other types of organizations. And so that's the work we've done, and largely people have complied, because I think everyone in our community gets it right now. This is to keep us all safe.
This is all about keeping just essential businesses in action, but is there still a dispute over what makes an essential business? We saw Nebraska Furniture Mart still open its doors for most of the week, saying they were an essential business. They then have since closed. But now there's a dispute over Bass Pro on both sides of state line. Gun stores here on both sides of state line open, yet in many states that is not considered an essential business. Are those questions still coming up?
You know, I think they'll continue to percolate for as long as we're in this crisis, but I've usually followed this rule of thumb, which is that if you have to ask whether your business is essential or not, it's probably not. And it's important for people to realize essential doesn't mean valuable. Everybody's livelihood, everything is very valuable, but essential is what do we need to keep this city moving? What do we need to keep people healthy and safe? And largely, I think over the last several days, we've had people figure that out, and I expect to have even less controversy as time goes on.
Now, this stay-at-home order currently would go into effect until April 24th. What happens, though, if you're not seeing a reduction in the number of infection cases in this community? How do you know you're being successful?
Well, I continue to talk to our Director of Public Health every day. We look to and talk to experts throughout Missouri and Kansas, and frankly from throughout the country. And I think what we will continue to do is to see how effective are we being, how are we working with other jurisdictions throughout our region and beyond to see if this is the right approach. And then certainly before April the 24th, we'll evaluate the efficacy of our order. A few things that I think can help us read how we're doing. What's the drain on hospital rooms? How are we doing with our emergency services? How are we doing in total infection rate? We hope to flatten the curve, and we would like to see at least a slower increase here in the Kansas City area as our
If you're
side.
not flattening the curve, what would the next step be?
You know, at this point, we have a number of different options. You've seen some cities go to a more intense quarantine type of approach. That's what you're seeing in Europe right now. That's what you're seeing in the United Kingdom. I certainly don't think we need to be there yet. And actually in New York City, in that metro area, you're getting more of that. I think we would probably look at phases, but some perhaps closing down more businesses. We will see more opportunities to allow for greater social distancing. But at this point, I don't want us to get there. If everybody follows the rules at issue, I think we'll be in a good place.
The city passing a budget this week, and some concerned that, wow, why didn't you scale back more of the non-essential things from that budget, particularly as more and more people are going to be unemployed. Your taxes are going to go down from coming in from the earnings tax, from the sales tax, from the hotel tax. Shouldn't you have been a little leaner in that budget than actually increasing it as you did this week?
I think we're always lean in the budget, but what we recognize were a few things. First, we have passed relief funds for small businesses. We have pushed back the earnings tax deadline from April 15th to July 15th. Those are things that we recognize where the pain was, and we wanted to address it. In terms of reducing the budget even further, my view is this. We will, at the end of every quarter, have a chance to review where we are, where our performance is. It is not impossible for the city to scale back some of the investments it's making. One of the key steps we made was a hiring freeze that we instituted. I believe we're the first in the metro to do such a thing, where we will not be hiring new employees unless they are absolutely essential. We won't do more consulting contracts. We're looking to already cut out in excess of $10 million a year or more in some of the expenses we have based on cutting consulting contracts, professional services, et cetera, which will help us get through this moment.
What about the tens of thousands of your constituents now who will find themselves without a job, unable potentially to pay their rent, to be able to put food on their table? Is there anything in it for them?
You know, my heart breaks for everybody who has been impacted economically by our current situation. We have a few different models and plans. My office has worked with a number of nonprofits and foundations in our city. You probably heard earlier this week announcement of a $10 million fund that more of the private sector is helping to raise to help support a social safety network. When I mentioned small businesses before, that's really more of the mom and pop shops, those barber shops, those other businesses that are shut down entirely right now and don't have a huge supply chain to help support them. So that's some of the work we're doing. But, you know, our work doesn't necessarily just stop with the budget. It also continues to how we support homeless shelters, how we support medical services, how we support renters, how we support zero fare transit. That's the work that we will continue to do in Kansas City. And I think all of that social safety network that we fund each year will go to address many of the challenges that we're seeing right now.
We in the media certainly do like to look at some of the ugly things that are happening right now, including when somebody rips the dispensers of hand sanitizers from the restrooms at KCI Airport. But there are uplifting things happening in this community right now. What has been the most uplifting story that you've encountered over the past week, Mayor Lucas?
You know, I actually bumped into a homeless gentleman the other day who was talking about the current situation and was talking about how kind the staff has been. Our homeless shelters are on the front lines of dealing with this crisis, of perhaps screening people who might be exposed, but continue to show up every day without many resources. The work that they are doing to treat people with care, with kindness, is something that is an amazing example for this community. And right now, what I think about in this moment are the grocery workers, the folks in homeless shelters, the nurses, the hospital staff, the people that are largely unsung in this crisis, but are key to making us get through it.
And we'll be hearing from those grocery store owners in just a moment. But what about those people who cut our hair? Where are you and I going to go to get our hair cut as a result of this?
Well, you know, I think they will see just how bald we may be as some of it grows out on the sides over time. You know, for those who watched the Jeffersons years ago, George Jefferson had this large afro only on the sides. I may model such an outfit.
I saw one tweet that said, when you did your news conference this week, that if Mayor Lucas is wearing a polo shirt, run, don't walk to the basement because something terrible is about to happen. It's great to see that you're still wearing a suit, so we're still in good shape.
I feel like I'll keep this suit on as long as possible, but if I go to the polo shirts, then yes, it's a wild time.
Okay, we'll watch for that. Mayor Quinton Lucas, thank you for spending the time with us on Week in Review.